Welcome. You're tuned to the Urban Affairs program. It's time to get up for Urban Perspectives with your host, Pete Rhodes.
Welcome. You're watching Urban Perspectives. I'm your host, Pete Rhodes. This is an episode sponsored in part by the Council on Black Minnesotans and North Central Minority Supplier Development Council and BMAnetworks.com. On this edition of Urban Perspectives, we continue our series recognizing outstanding contributions by women in arts, business, education, and government. Thank you for joining us. My first guest is a chemist by trade, a former vice president of General Mills and former president and executive director of General Mills Foundation. She has served on numerous corporate boards, including ExxonMobil, Wells Fargo, and the Congressional Black Caucus Foundation. She is alum of Clark College in Atlanta. It is my distinct pleasure to welcome this superwoman to Urban Perspectives, Dr. Reatha Clark Keene. How are you doing this morning?
I'm doing fine, Pete. How are you?
Good. We were just talking about how we are starting to meet on weekends now at various occasions, and I had the pleasure of sharing an event with you just recently, and it was always good seeing you.
Oh, yeah. Well, I'm looking forward to making this one just as exciting as that one.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure you will.
Black History Month celebration, which that was.
Yeah, it was really nice, and I think the kids enjoyed it so much.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, Reatha, if I may, as a graduate of Clark, Columbia, and the University of Chicago, how did education become such an important part of your life?
Oh, thank you for the question. Education, early on, from the time I was 4 years old, was a compelling notion to me, for me. And that notion was instilled in me by community people, because they talked over and over how you children got to get an education if you want better job opportunities than we have. Working in the field in the hot sun, no better job than a maid, $3 per day, or picking cotton or whatever on the farm. So I decided at age 4 that I would take them serious and seek a good education. And that led me from first grade through grade school, high school, and college and graduate school. And still with continuing education, making sure that I could master subjects. But when I started out as a child, I had 2 strikes against me. One, that blacks didn't deserve an education to learn, and that women were not capable of learning. We didn't have the brains. So I had to disprove both of those notions.
Yeah. Well, you turned it around, obviously. So you became a chemist, and who was your inspiration for being a chemist?
Well, that started early on too, because in grade school then, we celebrated Negro History Week. And 1 week, Negro History Week, which has now become 1 month, Black History Month, as you know. But there we were introduced to blacks who had succeeded in becoming in other careers. And along the way, I learned about George Washington Carver, a chemist. And that stuck in my mind that if he could do it, I could do it. But it wasn't until high school when I became introduced to the laboratory sciences, chemistry being one, that I learned how enjoyable it was to study chemistry. And then in college, I met Professor Alfred Spriggs, chair of our chemistry department at Clark College, who told us women that we were able to become chemists. We were capable. So he was my motivation to get me working hard against gender discrimination.
I see.
Now, Black History Month got me working hard against black discrimination. But Dr. Spriggs told us women
you could do it.
We could do it. And from Clark, I went on to the University of Chicago with that notion that women could be chemists too.
Great. Well, you are first in a lot of different areas. And as a former president of Metropolitan State University, in your opinion, where do we start now to close the educational gaps in our communities?
Well, first, Pete, thank you for that question. We start with ourselves. We got to realize that the school can't do the whole job. We citizens have to help, be willing to help out. then I think we have to get the message out that there's a role for everybody, all of our institutions. Now, I'm coming back to the responsibility of the schools, but I think wherever we have young people now, we got to make them know that they are safe, that we got to encourage them, and we got to make education a compelling notion for them. They got to take these opportunities seriously. We do that through our churches, we do that through community organizations, and through mentoring programs, numerous nonprofit programs. And we got to have expectations of our schools. Now, I'm coming back to schools because they got to do a quality job.
That is
a quality job. And we got to help them understand what quality means. And so I think there's a role for everybody, and it's the compelling needs. And I'm so glad to see public policy officials and the governor, legislators moving in that direction. Now, but we all got to work on it.
The question now is, you recruited, moving ahead, General Mills you were recruited by General Mills, and you made that foundation one of the top foundations in the country. What did you do to do that?
We did several things, and I want to say, first of all, that I didn't do them alone. It was a team effort. But I did provide some leadership, first to expand the General Mills Community Action Program that includes the foundation to other locations outside of the Twin Cities.
I see.
Perhaps few people don't know what a huge enterprise General Mills is and how many facilities it has in other locations like Buffalo, Toledo, Great Falls, Montana, Orlando, Florida. So we were, when I became head of the foundation, we were concentrated and focused on the Twin Cities. And I thought to myself, this is not consistent with our values. We had a marvelous statement of corporate values, and it was my belief that we needed to live up to our values. So Dave Nasby and I put our heads together and strategized with the foundation trustees to start grant making in Orlando, Florida, Great Falls, Montana, Buffalo, West Chicago, all over. But it was practicing what we preach, following our values, and we anchored our giving in those communities through what we call a Community Action Council, organization of employees who instructed us on how to make grants in that community.
Well, it is working fantastic now, doing a fantastic job. So much more to talk about, Dr. King, and I so much appreciate you being here with us today on this edition.
Thank you. Thank you for the opportunity.
Dr. Reatha Clark King, thank you so much. Weekly here on Urban Perspectives, we present Shining Stars, highlighting people, places, and events that contribute to the vibrancy of our urban communities. Our Shining Star this week holds a Bachelor of Fine Arts in Dance from the University of Wisconsin-Madison. She is an actress who has performed with Penumbra Theater and most recently as a dancer in Prince's new band, Third Eye Girl. She is the co-founder of Shapeshift Contemporary Dance Group. Meet our Shining Star, Ashley Selmer.
My name is Ashley Selmer, and I am a professional dancer, choreographer, and co-creative director of Shapeshift. My love for dance has been with me since I was probably 3 or 4 years old. I was bopping my head to Mariah Carey on my way to my first dance classes in North Minneapolis. So it started very, very young for me. From there, I just tried to really hone in on my own skills and develop myself as an artist. The number one thing I feel Shapeshift is bringing to the dance community would be allowing everyone to feel something, whether that's angry or sad or excited. I think we're really bringing, hopefully, a new vibrancy to the dance community and getting people super excited to create, to talk about things, and to just simply feel. I think that's really hopefully what we're doing when we're performing. We have as young as 16, as old as 28. So we really try and work with our dancers, and sometimes you can fall flat in practice and you can lose inspiration. We constantly try to drive them and work with them on expression and connecting to their characters. And then as a group as a whole, we're all performers outside of Shapeshift. We're all educators and hopefully young people that inspire other young people. So we try to do other workshops as well with young aspiring dancers and other artists. As an aspiring performer, dancer, creator, it's really important that you develop who you are without anybody else around. I think you can get a little lost in trying to be the person beside you or trying to be even someone that you look up to. It's very important to constantly be on your own and working on your own things and finding what inspires you. I'm Ashley Selmer. I'm the co-creator of Shapeshift Dance Company, and you're watching Urban Perspectives.
Thank you so much, Ashley. My next guest is a former Senator Paul Wellstone Organizing Fellow and an urban community ambassador. She's a proven educator, organizer, and a leader in our community. Meet State Representative Rena Moran next on Urban Perspectives. Welcome back to Urban Perspectives. Our next guest's first job in Minnesota was a scout leader at Camp Snoopy, then a counselor at the St. Paul YMCA before moving on to work at the commodities trading firm in Minneapolis. She was sworn into office in 2011 as the first African-American woman to serve as a state representative in Minnesota. Please welcome to Urban Perspectives, State Representative Rena Moran.
Wow.
Urban Perspectives. Change the name of our show just for you.
Just a little bit.
Just
right?
a little bit. How are you doing today?
I'm doing good this morning.
Great, great,
Really good.
great.
Really happy to be here.
Yeah, well, we're so happy to have you here. We'll just get right into it. What prompted you to seek office?
Wow. You know, moved here from Chicago 15 years ago as a mother, you know, trying to navigate a system and find my place in a new state. Became connected to the historical Rondo community and just tapped into the passion of community members around the Rondo community being displaced by I-94. You know, began to hear those stories and became connected to the injustice and found myself saying so often, you know, this is not right.
Yeah.
You know, here we are 50, 60 years later, and same thing,
Yeah.
still feeling that injustice, and began to just, you know, wanting to meet my neighbors, you know, connect with community. I'm a mother of 6, I have 4 boys.
6 kids.
So it's really
Fantastic.
important to me that as I move into a new community, that a community of people know me and my family, right?
Exactly.
Because, you know, sometimes life doesn't always treat African-American males fairly for whatever reason. And so 4 boys, you know, walking down the street could be profiled so easily.
Yeah.
So it was important to me to introduce myself to community and my sons so that if they were to happen to do anything they shouldn't be doing,
People would know.
someone could knock on my door and know it's okay to do that and say, Rena, I saw.
Yeah.
So that was the basics for that. But I also wanted to connect in a greater way with the community. Who was my neighbors? What do they do? And so I connected to a local community organization and became a resident leader and just began to learn so much from that and tapped into another community organization and another, just to really help me figure out how I can become the best person I can as a mother, as a neighbor, and as a community member. And what I found, though, through those connections and those leadership opportunities with organizations was that there was injustices that was still happening every single day, and they was impacting, you know,
You and others.
absolutely,
Yes.
because we are interconnected, right? And eventually, I got to the place as we fight our struggles in the community around whatever that may be, housing, it could be transportation, it could be potholes, you know, paving my streets fairly,
Yes.
that it was policies in place that keep us in a place so often. And I thought that, you know, if I'm going to be as effective as I can be, then I want to create some laws and policies that are fair and just, that represent all of us.
Fantastic. The rest is history.
That's it.
You know, what makes up your district, 65A, and tell us what's so great about it. You just talked about the residents and the people. What is great about 65A?
Yeah, 65A is the historical Rondo community, Frog Town, the Midway area. I have a little bit of the north end on Rice Street and Cathedral Hill, so that is Rice to Snelling. North and south is from, I would say, Pierce Butler to like Hubbard, which is a couple of blocks off of Selby. And what makes it a great community to me, one is the diversity of the community, but in a bigger way, it's the families in that community. It is the passion that comes with a community of people who have made a decision that when something happened in that community, we're going to be at the table.
I want to ask you this. What is your ultimate goal then, with the little time we have left for your district and the broader community that you're serving?
So what I have learned as being a legislator in a very diverse community is that so often we don't see ourselves as part of the political process. And we have a right to say that don't work for me, I don't want to do that, you know, I'm not political, because the political process has not always served our community. So I understand that, but politics is in everything. It is in absolutely everything. And the community that I represent is so close to the Capitol that we can touch it. But so often we don't see it.
Oh, I see.
And so for me, it's really important to make that connection from the community to the Capitol and from the Capitol to the community, and allow a legislative body that is not reflective of the community that I serve to begin to see that our community in a different light, so that we are relevant, that when there are needs that needs to take place in the community that looks like mine, that we are fulfilling some of those needs, and that our community is doing the same thing. They're showing up, they're participating, they're learning that process, because we have to be a part of creating the change that we want. We can't assume that someone else is going to do it for us.
Yeah. Well, Representative Rena Moran, thank you so very much for coming here today, and we got to come back. You got some great stuff.
I would love to come back. Thank you so much.
Coming up next, she's a guru in the consumer marketing who is now using her skills to guide 44,000 girls as the CEO of Girl Scouts of Minnesota and Wisconsin River Valleys. Meet Linda Keene here on Urban Perspectives. My next guest is a former Vice President of Market Development for American Express, a member of the Board of Directors for Scholastic, and held a senior level marketing position for the Pillsbury Company. She is now the CEO for the Girl Scouts of Minnesota and Wisconsin River Valleys. Please welcome to Urban Perspectives, Linda Keene.
Hi, Pete.
How are you doing this morning?
I'm doing great, thank you.
You know, we often see each other at our monitor events, the group that I share with your husband, and it's always great to see you in the community with that gorgeous smile.
Oh, well, thank you.
Yeah. So now you're using that along with your expertise in marketing. How are you using it exactly, Linda, your skills to direct the future growth as a CEO of the Girl Scouts with Minnesota and Wisconsin West River Falls?
Okay. I think the biggest challenge that Girl Scouts, one of Girl Scouts' biggest challenges, is really creating awareness of the work that we do and why our program is so good for girls. And so, obviously, as a marketer, that's something that's a good fit with my background and skills. And I feel like telling the story of Girl Scouts is the key area in which I contribute to making the organization stronger for the future.
Yeah, well, you're doing a great job with it, because there is a great story for the Girl Scouts, no doubt about it. Now, in that position, how has the tradition of the Girl Scouts changed, making it viable, as you think, for today's girls?
Well, one of the things about Girl Scouts is that it has always kept up with the times. You know, our founder, Juliette Gordon-Lowe, who founded the organization 103 years ago, her idea then was, before women had the right to vote, or before women really spent much time outside the home, that girls should be empowered, they should be self-reliant, they should prepare to be actively engaged in the community. And that's something that has been part of our organization's DNA from the beginning. Girl Scouts today does a lot of contemporary programs. You know, we used to have girls work on first aid, now they work on coding. So the program has evolved as girls have evolved.
Now, you know, I spoke about all the fabulous positions you had early on in your career. Of all the positions, why the Girl Scouts?
Well, it's why Girl Scouts, why now? Right. I was a Girl Scout growing up. It was a very important part of my life experience, and giving me the opportunity as a city girl to do things like going to camp, and really expanded my horizons. And I think that that is something that's even necessary today. So as I began winding down my career in the corporate world, I felt like there was one more area that I wanted to make a contribution. I'd always done a lot of volunteering, and Helping girls develop to their fullest potential is, to me, a wonderful mission, and it's a great place to kind of capstone my career. This is my last job.
Yeah, indeed, indeed. Well, we're at an age where requirements for girls to be Girl Scouts. What are they, and what are some of the advantages of being a Girl Scout?
Okay. Well, you know, the thing about it is there are no requirements to become a Girl Scout. Any girl who is in grades K to 5 can join the Girl Scouts, and we really welcome girls from every background and every type of life experience to be part of our organization. And we give girls opportunities to develop leadership, build their character, develop life skills, and importantly, the confidence that they need to take them to the next level.
Well, you know, speaking of that, in today's societies, girls' images are really minimized. So we look at TV, videos. How does the Girl Scouts promote leadership and self-esteem to these young ladies?
Well, the first thing we do is, you know, we have a supportive all-girl environment, and we give girls the opportunities to take risks in a very supportive situation. It's been proven through research that girls are actually more willing to try non-traditional things and take risks in an all-girls setting than they are in a co-ed setting, because they're less concerned about how they're going to look and how that's going to come off. We also really give girls opportunities to try lots of different kinds, try on lots of different types of careers, to get exposed to women who are doing a lot of non-traditional kinds of roles, and to explore. And so that's part of the way that we build that confidence. We also give them the opportunities to plan activities, to get out in front of groups and speak. Even through selling cookies, girls develop skills in terms of going out, and they market themselves, they market their product, they learn about financial literacy, they set goals about what they want to do, and you'd be surprised at how much some of these girls can do in terms of achieving their goals.
You mentioned those cookies.
That's right.
How important is that to the Girl Scouts in their annual outreach to communities and the work that you do?
Well, cookies is really one of the ways that Girl Scouts gets funded. You know, many youth activities, parents have to write a big check before their child can sign up for it. And the Girl Scout cookies actually allows girls to earn the money to fund most of the activities that their troops do.
Great.
They can fund going to camp, they can fund taking a trip. Some have funded trips even outside of the country. They fund service projects. So it's a very important part in empowering the girls to kind of set their own future. But it also helps to fund our Girl Scout Council because we are able to raise money through the cookie sale that allows us to provide a variety of opportunities for girls and support our volunteers, maintain our facilities.
Great.
So.
Well, Linda, thank you so much for coming, giving us some insight on the importance of that organization. And again, those cookies are delicious as well.
Thank you.
All right, Linda Keene here with us. Thank you for watching Urban Perspectives. I would like to thank my sponsors, the Council on Black Minnesotans, North Central Minority Supplier Development Council, and BMAnetworks.com. Of course, my guests and you, the audience, for getting up with Urban Perspectives. Visit our website at urbanperspectives.tv for information on today's guests and links to previous broadcasts. And you can help us grow by liking our Facebook page. Remember, there are positive things happening in our city. See them right here on Urban Perspectives. Now enjoy the photos of the week featuring the African American Leadership Forum Urban Agenda Conference. I'm Pete Rhodes, and I'll see you next week.